Okay, so I have one question, and I'm really not sure if I can answer it, partly because my my brain feels like it's not working on all of its cylinders at the moment. So, but I'll read something of the question. It's from Terry, and then see what sort of response I can come up with. So while practicing both seated and standing meditation, I was aware of pre-volitional impulses to movement. So by pre-volitional, I wonder if you mean volitional. That's that impulse to do, the impulse to act.
Yeah.
Yeah, great, okay. And then you were saying it seems that the body also has natural intuitive movement, tiny intuitive settling movements that happens when we get out of the way. The body intuitively knows how to settle back. Okay, I think sometimes there's the yes, maybe it's around just around what happens in the body and what happens in the mind, and the definitions of those. So yes, because strictly speaking, volition it's a mental factor, but we can feel in a way, we feel that very subtle interrelationship between mind and body. So sometimes those impulses, the volitional impulses, are felt in more as a physical thing, sometimes more as a mental thing. But the body having these sort of little intuitive settlings, I think body and mind perhaps both have those, because the volition is, but by its nature, it's on some level it's intentional. On some level, there's an urge or a move towards it. It's not personal, but there's an urge or a move towards. But I think sometimes, I don't know this for sure, but I think sometimes it's volitional, but if you like, the cause of that volition is not that craving or aversion. It's not towards, but it's a more perhaps it's more an awareness, wisdom based type movement. I'm not sure about that, actually. I'm really not sure about what I just said. Maybe I'll use another parallel with thoughts. So sometimes the thinking is, we can become aware of intention to think. The intention that will arise before a thought or alongside a thought, that impulse or that urge. But we can only do that with certain sorts of thoughts. There are other thoughts that are much more sort of wispy. They don't have that sort of intention behind them. So they're much more just, if you like, more in the depths. And I wonder if that's more what you're talking about, Terry, that sense of something that's happening and this intuitive sense of the body towards release or towards settling. That's just feeling like it's happening. Is it something like that?
Yeah. I think it was for me. It was more towards that that maybe that these very slight movements and subtle corrections in the body were kind of the body coming in line with things, I suppose, like gravity. So gravity, you could see is sort of natural. It's part of reality. and I suppose I've been working with a lot of it is how I perceive myself, and how I physically see myself, and how I physically hold my body are very connected, and that in sort of getting out of the way, opening up to I suppose what you were sort of terming big mind, that's more in line with reality, with how things are. So that sort of, I suppose, my body correcting itself, pulling itself out of its sort of habitual holding.
Yeah. Great, thank you. Yeah, I think you've put it very clearly. Yeah, I don't think I need to say anything more. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so just going to have about, we got about half an hour to sit before 6 o'clock, and then we'll come back at 8. Just find my timer. So we've all had a period of, I know on the last day of a retreat, traditionally have more talking time. You may or may not have had more talking time, and we certainly haven't been in silence, so there isn't that same sense of necessarily of needing to sort of come back at this point in a retreat to be to sort of reground and quieten. But here we are, we have the opportunity, so we can make the most of it. And I'll lead into a practice in a way following on from what we were looking at this morning. Around attention and awareness, but I won't carry on too far into it. Just the first few minutes to give you a steer, and then over to you. Just checking in with how you are right now. And maybe recognizing any sense of an agenda for the meditation. Any ideas about how you'd like it to go? And seeing if it's possible to recognize that agenda, that expectation. And just be curious. Anything can happen in any mind at any time. Letting the awareness be very light and open. And just noticing where the attention goes. there are not that many possibilities, really. Well, there are endless possibilities, but in terms of processes, attention can go to a sound or a sight, process of touch, possibly smelling or tasting, or the knowing of an object in the mind. So it can be helpful to keep in touch with a sense of simplicity. 6 sense doors, 6 sense consciousnesses. Through which awareness can recognize objects. So see where the attention goes, to which of the sense doors, sense consciousnesses. And be aware of what that quality of attention or attending feels like. And allow awareness to accompany it wherever it goes. Attention can feel like a butterfly moving from leaf to leaf. And awareness can know those movements, but can also have a sense of the whole garden. You might begin to recognize the presence of awareness arising with objects. And just tuning into that out of the corner of the mind's eye, very gently. You might recognize objects. You might recognize the attention that moves towards objects. And the awareness that's knowing all of this. Whether you know one part or more of the picture, just appreciating the mind that's knowing as much as it is in this moment.